Well, thank you for coming on the Red Carpet Round Table podcast. Um,
Thank you for
Mr.
having me.
You're very welcome, Mr. Taylor. First of all, what got you into this entertainment industry? Because a lot of people understand that it takes sacrifice, and it does because a lot of people want to know what encouraged you.
So do you have like 6 hours? uh, well, you know, uh, it's really simple. I actually was listening to one of your earlier podcasts with Bruce, and the industry chose me. At a young age, entertainment chose me. I loved with my siblings who would do make believe and dress up and just run around, just doing just silly, mostly comedic things. Always had a little bit of a funny bone in me. And growing up, going to church and just school, like every time there was some kind of activity, some kind of play or uh, some singing, I was always involved. I was always in sports too, though. And so I'll just fast forwarding to high school. I realized, I was stuck in this world of sports because my dad, which I loved sports, but senior year of high school, there was this somewhat of an inner voice that said, join the jazz choir. And I was like, what's jazz choir? I don't even know what that is, because I was still really like heavily involved in like football, cross country, track, just like everything else, baseball, soccer, you name it. And there was this join the jazz choir voice inside of me. So I went and I talked to the jazz choir, the instructor, and he said, yeah, we need men. They're short of men. And uh, without even really testing me, he said, hey, you're in. And then so later that year, I went to a cabaret for the show choir, which is more like the singing and dancing aspect. And I realized I love this form of storytelling. And they needed men as well. So I said, hey, I know that you need men. I know I probably can't dance, but I'm sure you can teach me how to choreograph at least. And I started doing that. And then I kept it as a hobby through college as I
Mhm.
pursued an international business degree and went a completely different direction. Because I'll keep it very simple. I grew up not sure how to be in the entertainment world with what my background was. I grew up with very strong within like the Christian community, more of a fundamentalist sort of community, and something that I've grown up with. I'll just put it out right out there. Someone of faith that is kind of it's changed over the years. What that looks like, but I just didn't know how to be that, and also pursue an entertainment career. And so I went this other path that led me to, at the age of 25, life falling apart. I was married, I had kids, and I fell into like an addictive pattern that sort of like tore everything apart. Went through a few years of recovery and ended up in Atlanta. Ended up being a banker and a mortgage consultant sitting in a cubicle. And one day I was like, this doesn't work for me. And my boss brought me into the office, and I was a high earner. I was doing well. He said, Taylor, if you leave our company, uh, you're not going to amount to anything in your life. You might sing in like a church choir or something, or you might, perform in community theater. And I got up and I looked him in the eyes. I said, you don't know who I am and you don't know where I'm going. I got up and I literally had just started driving Lyft and Uber. And I supported myself for about 7 years doing that and gig work while I created an acting career in Atlanta.
You know,
Um,
that's
yeah.
pardon me. That's amazing because that right there talks about courage and passion, right? And not giving up on your dream. Because if you don't mind me, it takes guts to quit your job. You're working in a bank,
Mhm.
right? And then,
Yeah.
what really is a testimony to send to a lot of young, upcoming teenagers who are 16 years old who are driving now. You just sent a message to say you can be a Lyft and Uber driver to save money to
Mhm.
pursue this dream to do this entertainment
Yes.
industry. And you said, auditions and etc. So, right there, I had to kind of cut in because you got me there because
Please.
that is a very good, very powerful testimony because now these days, we have Uber, we have
Mhm.
Lyft, and you have DoorDash, and that talks about how you can, you know, keep your passion, working hard, keep going, and that can be a good income because also, a lot of people may not realize is that's your own schedule time. You don't have to worry about working in an office or anywhere else. It's like I'm gonna do this and lift from this time and this time. And then you're like, oh, I got audition. Let me stop lift. Let me go get my stuff and do right. And then you keep going. So that's one thing I want to say.
Thank you for that feedback. Thank you for saying that. Telling that story and over again has been empowering to me. We have to retell our own stories to ourselves at times just to remember where we've come from. And what I try to do with my life, being a divorcee, I have two wonderful sons who I read The Hobbit to every week over the phone, by the way, or over, sorry, the phone, old school, over Skype. That's still Skype is old
Old
school
school.
too. And I do all the voices. Thorin is very Scottish, and then I got Gandalf, just old, sounding like all these different characters. And I have a beautiful life from what I experienced before, but I had to go through recovery. I lost a lot and then left a 9 to 5, the secure world, the rat race. And I don't want anyone to feel like they have an excuse for not pursuing their dream when they see my life. So, you've seen have you seen the Indiana Jones films?
Yes.
So Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, if you remember, when they're in that final like temple at the end of the film, and there's just like an invisible bridge scene. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Hmm.
So there's the invisible bridge, and it's supposed to be like the leap of faith or whatever. And he literally has to step out into this chasm, trusting that somehow he's not going to fall, flat on his face, down into this hole in the ground. And that's the way I look at life. Is that really you just take the steps and the bridge builds itself. You really have to. There really is there's no fall. That's the illusion that there's going to be a fall.
Hmm.
I believe that life manifests those opportunities for you. So I continued to do that through, um, auditioning and getting agents and doing background and doing all the things people do early on when they're leaving some other career and maybe didn't go to school
Hmm.
officially for
Hmm.
TV and film,
Right.
and continued to build everything. And specifically got a master's in positive psychology for life coaching to help people get out of their 9 to 5, to see you can do your creative
That's
passion.
amazing. Hmm.
And the reason why I did it, see, I coached myself into acting because I did the masters first, or started it,
Hmm.
and then I found myself realizing, wait a second, if I'm going to want to help others do this, I got to be willing to have the guts to follow my own passion.
Hmm.
And so I took about a decade to 9 years now is in this pursuit, after a TV and film career, to prove to myself that I could do it so that others, again, have no excuse to follow their dreams.
Right.
So,
The one thing I will say is that um it's a lot of people who will say, you have to have a excuse me, you have to have a college degree. And no, you don't. There's a lot of famous actors and producers and directors and writers and singers who don't have college education at all. Didn't even attempt
mm-hmm,
going to college. And to me, that's very encouraging because, again, I'll say it again, I don't think college is what it is. Now, going to
mm-hmm,
sports, yes. But being a doctor and nurse, yes. But I don't, you know, college is just, to me, I don't think it is what it is. That
mm-hmm,
words can't describe it. But to pursue your acting, I will say this is that you don't need to go to college to be an actor. You can get a group of friends and get an iPhone and get an iPad and record like a small action movie in the living room or in the backyard and then start putting it on YouTube, on Insta and Facebook page and excuse me, and get audience to watch it and promote your little film, right? And you're gonna, that's how you
Yes.
can get your audience to grow bases, and that's how you can practice yourself as a character, right? You can do like maybe
Hmm.
4 seasons of like a little crime show or something like that. And I think personally that will help yourself as an actor, any actor, to
Hmm.
go into the bigger step because they're gonna be like, okay, you've been practicing. And for me, I think it's a big testimony because you know, then later on, yeah, you can go into acting class if you want to, right? Eventually, you probably will
Hmm.
have to, right? But, at least you know what it's like. You can practice reading small lines, right? And then, being behind
Hmm.
on the YouTube, all that stuff too. For me, like everything you're saying and makes sense. We all have to take that big leap of faith. Also, the encouragement and the passion to go for it, right? And also you know, don't let anybody tell you you can't do it because because they don't know your journey, they don't know your story, they don't know how
That's
far
right.
you can go, right? You don't want to, we don't want to be like 10 years and then realize, oh no, I just made a mistake in my life. Let me go backwards. So I think it's just, I'm a big passion guy. And that's why I think it's very important to go for that step and keep going, right? And keep pursuing because it's just so amazing. It really does to me when I hear so many actors and producers and directors out there and singers and etc. who they have started this journey when they're 20 years old, right? 18 years old. And it just
Yeah.
brings you chills and emotional because people say, this has been my story. This is my journey. This is where I want to
Hmm.
go. And it's so amazing because they're telling their story out there in their own film, but they're also telling their story like you are to tell the next generation, the next younger
Hmm.
generations of young actors and actresses out there to say, hey, you know, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. So,
Well,
thank
and
you.
I want to say your passion is contagious. I can tell how much you love talking about this. Obviously, you have a podcast for this. This is something that you breathe and live, and it excites me. And one of the biggest things that I've learned, because I have taken classes over the years, I've made sure to invest in my career in that way. Is more than anything reacting, responding, listening, engaging, being present, and just being present with you gives me such an energy and such a life that I get excited and I have something to spill over back to you. And so when it comes to like the college experience, I don't regret having what I have with business. I'll say that I feel like I have a lot of skills for the side of the industry that so many entertainers kind of lose sight of,
Hmm.
because we get caught up in this dreamscape of like I'm going to be a movie star, Academy Award winner. I say that every day since 2016. but there's a matter of building the ladder and building a brand, building all these other things that really matter when it comes to the business side and understanding finance and taxes and really just being business minded. Um, so I think there's some good things about college, but when it comes to the craft of acting, I've noticed that studying life and studying people, and maybe why the master's in positive psychology has been such a beautiful thing, is just getting into the psyche of human beings, being present, watching others live their lives, and then living a full life, having many experiences, traveling, getting around the world, meeting people different than you, knowing how to engage, interact, getting out. And I think that's the true school
Hmm.
that all
Hmm.
of us get to engage in every day. And then a little bit of, for me, it was Strasbourg, the good amount of Strasbourg training it never hurts as well. For some, it's Meisner, for some, it's, Adler, whatever it might be. I think it's good to know those things, but know thyself and know your fellow
Hmm.
man and woman,
Right.
just connecting with life.
That's
So,
true. The one thing I
mhm.
will leave with this is that in the entertainment industry is that we all support each other. That's one thing to me I will say is that you notice that on Instagram when all the actors and we may never meet each other in person, but we all end up
Hmm.
supporting each other. We all, follow each other. It doesn't matter what state we were in. We just send encouragement, love to one another.
Hmm.
Said, you got this, you got it, all this stuff. And that's the one thing I love about the entertainment industry because we're a family. And
That's
that's
right.
one thing I love because the passion, because everybody who are supporting each other in this entertainment industry, from the directors all the way to actors and actresses, they know our journey similarity because they
Hmm.
all have been there almost. They know what we're going through, the passion, going for and we may be like you said, driving for Lyft or Uber or have a
Hmm.
part-time job, right? And we're going to
Yeah.
audition, we're staying up late. So everybody, almost everybody who are supporting each other in this entertainment industry has a similar story, and when you hear all these A-list celebrities that, you hear their stories, some stories, how what they did to get where they are, right? And some, yes, I agree, they already been in it from generations.
Hmm.
Some had to work so hard to be where they are. But you know what? To me, that's encouraging and passionate
Yes.
because never give up. All right. And I don't know if you remember Matthew McConaughey Oscar speech when he was asked, "Where do you see yourself in 10 years?" Right? Well, come back and see me if you remember that, right? And uh, um,
I've read Green Lights. I don't necessarily remember that specific speech, but I read his book and it was just
right. And
phenomenal. So.
I love him, but he's a very encouraging person. But we
Hmm.
all have to keep the faith, keep courage, keep going. And that's one thing I love about this entertainment industry. Everybody has a similar story.
And I think that's what's so funny about critics because, of those who are A-listers or who are, actors or anyone that has like a name. I don't think you can really be fake and make it very far in this industry. Now there's obviously becoming a character and putting on a face for actors, but I really think that it is such a heart on your sleeve, emotional, uh, visceral journey that anyone who's made it to any level or whatever, they've worked really hard, even if there's nepotism involved. I think just to be out there and take the risks, um, there's so much that it demands of you. So I think after a while, those who aren't cut out for that, it just sort of filters them out. And if you're around long enough, you really have to have some tenacity.
That's true.
Community is extremely important, and you mentioned supporting each other. I will throw out, obviously we're in the midst of the LA fires right
Yes.
now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so it's been heartbreaking seeing friends who I consider family who've had to relocate. I've known others who've know people who have lost homes, and I do want to throw out to the acting community and to your viewership, that there are resources through SAG. Relief funds, the Motion Picture and Television Fund is out
Mm-hmm.
there for entertainers. The Entertainment Community Fund is out there. Labor Community Services, LA, those are some resources. Anyone who's in the LA area affected by the fires, not just losing homes, but maybe your income has been impacted
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of you side gig workers, some of those gigs aren't happening right now.
Right.
I've experienced it myself. There are resources. Feel free to reach out to me for that information or anywhere else. But just know there are resources to get you through this hard
Mm-hmm.
time. And I just wanted to put that plug out there
No, no,
just
I
in case
appreciate
anyone
it.
hears that. So,
No, I
yeah.
appreciate it. It is a excuse me, very devastating what is going on in Los Angeles. Very devastating. My heart goes out to the families
Mhm.
and the victims, everyone in Los Angeles, especially all the actors and A-list actors out there. And it's still going on, wildfires, and my heart goes out to everybody out there who's affected, and you hear, unfortunately, some A-list actors lost their homes, and during the fire, some actors
Hmm.
may have lost their phones as well. But it's so encouraging when you listen to the news in a positive way. And what I'm trying to say is
Hmm.
we all come support each other in the community,
Exactly. Hmm.
and that's what everybody is so surprised, oh, what's his name? He's on TV. He's an actor. He's been helping people evacuate. And if you're watching this, I'm sorry I forgot your name. Please forgive me. But um, you hear stories because we help the community, right? And
That's right.
it's so amazing how much we help the community, and they are so thankful, and we ignore all the negative and comments we get in reality, but when it comes to the community, your own state, or you know all this stuff going through natural disaster, we end up supporting the community. We end up doing what we can, and that's the one thing that everybody appreciates because we the community supports us, we support them, right? And that's
That's
one thing
right.
I want to say. So, anybody
And
who's
we
out there,
continue to create.
anybody out there that's listening, please send donations to Los Angeles, and also
Mhm.
um, you can go on the website, and also last I heard, you can Google this, but last heard you can donate to the Los Angeles Fire Department as well. So anybody
Mhm.
who are watching this on YouTube and listening on the podcast, you can research that and Google that, and then go from there. So don't quote me on that, but I last I heard you can donate to the Los Angeles Fire Department as well, and the community as well. So, but my heart and prayers
Yeah.
goes out to everybody out there, and it's still going on. Um, as yourself, Taylor, let's switch
Mhm.
gear a little here. What
Yeah.
is what is something that nobody knows about you that you do for fun other than acting and auditions?
Wow. You know what? I'm somewhat of a nerd, and it's funny. I have a stack of books here um, that I've been going through. I love archaeology. I love the ancient world. I like looking into the mysteries. I like anything like regarding like Masons or Knights Templar or anything that has to do with like mystery schools. And so like I have books like this about the pharaohs and like the secret scrolls of Jesus, like a Rosicrucian manual. Like I go to the library and Idiot's Guide to Freemasonry. I'm really into like the esoteric, like
Hmm.
people hear the word occult and they get scared. Occult just means like covered, like hidden knowledge. That's really
Hmm.
all it is, and most of in my opinion, most of the world's religions kind of all touch on the same like secret
Right. Okay.
knowledge. Even Jesus, kind of teaches this way of life, and so it's funny that and it is going to be an auditioning story only because it fits well. So when I was a kid, one of the first things I ever wanted to be was a paleontologist. I wanted to dig up dinosaur bones. Um, and then, and funny enough, like I said, growing up in somewhat of more like a conservative, Christian household, I remember my dad. He was one of the kind of the young earthers. Believed the Earth was like 7,000 years old or whatever, and I felt really sad because I was reading a book on paleontology and they're saying that like some of the dinosaurs were millions of years old. And I thought, I guess I can't be a paleontologist anymore, which is such a silly thing. But as a child, there was that disconnect. I wasn't able to
Right. Right.
see beyond black and white, all the grays and the nuances of what reality can truly be, and understanding things more allegorically, story more like stories. And so then it was like archaeology because it's so interesting, like people, history, ancient architecture, Indiana Jones, obviously, you know, um, all all that stuff. And so National Treasure, obviously, more recently.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so I got these books from the library this week, and then I get an audition from my Texas agent for this professor character who's an archaeologist in a film. And I was just like over the moon. I was like, this would be so much fun. This character, and I was imagining some people maybe play it really straight. They're going to try to look like an archaeologist. I put this shirt on, a bolo tie, like a do rag, and like these like circular glasses, and
Oh
I'm
my
playing it like
God.
so. So have you you've seen Independence Day, right?
Right.
And Brent Spiner's,
Yeah. You're
I'm
oh
saying his
you're
name
the
wrong. Sorry,
you're like the professor, like long hair and everything.
the wacky scientist, as an Area
Yeah.
51. I'm playing like a younger version, kind of like that, and I decided with a little more of like a dude kind of like thing with it. And so I'm like, okay, maybe they'll like this character. Maybe they want something that's straight laced and more like, oh, I presume. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna be like this. Well, yeah, dude, this epic, like this French crusader found this sword. Like, it's just like I want that's what I'm going to be, And I think that's what's fun about our stories is take what is out of your life and bring it in. And a lot of times we end up attracting things career wise based on our interests. And but yeah, so I love archaeology. I'm a nut on that stuff. I like the ancient alien stuff, whether or not I buy into it. It's fascinating. Alternative history. It's just my jam. So
Wow. So what is your favorite genre?
ooh, mm, mm. Science fiction and
Hmm.
fantasy and dystopian, kind of that
Okay,
mixture of
okay.
things. Yeah.
Now, what is your dream genre role that you're
Oh
hoping
man.
to get?
Oh man, I'm gonna be a space pirate. It's easy. It's gonna be a space pirate that gets to go on these kind of adventures and end
Hmm.
up in archaeological digs
Right,
and end
right.
up
Yeah.
running from some powerful, you know, government, entities. Like I've always like embraced more like the rebel sort of
Right.
character. Hmm.
Now, I
Hmm.
want to go into this deep conversation because I think this is for a lot of young upcoming actors and actresses out there, and I love talking about this. What is your advice for all the young actors and actresses from age 6 years old till 18 years old, especially 6 years old or younger, from 6 years old, who are going to get into this entertainment industry? What's your
Hmm.
encouragement? What's your message and your advice? Because I know going through auditions, because it's not easy as you think it is, right? You're going to
Hmm.
auditions and you're trying to figure out the struggles and why you didn't get this role or what's going on, what's going on and all this stuff. So what's your advice for all the upcoming actresses out there and actors?
I'm gonna make it three things. The first one is make sure that you find very strong role models and mentors. Whether it's like your A-list role models that you want to be like, because you embrace the characters they play, but also, I mean, like your next door neighbor type at school, at church, in your community. Find those people. Hopefully, it's your parents. I hope you have great relationships with your parents or siblings. But if not, someone else that you feel is safe and supportive of your dreams that invites you to use your imagination and dream
Mm-hmm.
big, but
Mm-hmm.
also helps you stay focused and realistic on the goals and the requirements necessary to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
strong mentorship. The second thing being never stop using your imagination, use it as much as possible. Get out in nature, get unglued from the TV screen and the phone screen, or whatever device you call it these days, the VR screens, or use those screens to develop your imagination. Keep doing
Mm-hmm.
that. The third one, it's really just a matter of I think you need to really focus on however you do it, no matter what your belief or non-belief is, prayer and meditation,
Mm-hmm.
developing a connection with yourself and a higher power, in my opinion, is extremely important. And maybe that higher power is, your higher self. Maybe that's God. Maybe it's just just a sense of awe and wonder when you look at the world. Really develop that and delve into that personal journey um, at a very young age. Um, it might sometimes be something that you don't see your friends caught up in. I remember sitting at the lunchroom and hearing some of the conversations the other kids were talking about, and some of kind of the crude jokes and the silly things, and they can be fun at times, but I didn't relate, and sometimes I felt like an outsider. But at the same time, I was always developing this inner world and imagination that I feel is invaluable. So
That's a good message because, I think a lot of people who want to get into in this entertainment industry, they don't they don't realize it's not handy dandy. You know, and it's kind of interesting that people hear that because they are like, "Oh, I'm gonna get in and I'm gonna be an A-list actor and win my Oscar awards." Right? And in
yeah.
reality, it's not like that because it's just it's not a competition. It's just a very tough industry, and it takes
Mhm.
courage, takes passion. You have to be able to cry on cue. You got to be able to get angry on cue. You be able to do all this stuff on cue. And I think a lot of people are realizing is like, wow, this is what the entertainment industry is, and it's fun. It's fun, and it's
It's fun.
yeah.
It's very demanding emotionally, though, as well.
Hmm.
It's very taxing, the long hours, um, being able to be personally responsible. You have to have some sense of, I really believe like personal responsibility is like one of the first steps to being able to succeed in anything, but especially this career. And um, something that really helped me, two things that really helped me that I feel like are two other pieces of advice. I had a friend back in Atlanta before I moved to LA about 5 years ago. He looked at me and said, Taylor, usually it takes about 10 years to get good at anything. And I was like 2 years in at this point. And I'm just like thinking to myself, yeah, whatever, I'm going to be a movie star next year. I'm laughing at myself because a few years in, I finally embraced this. I embraced 30 years. I embraced 40 years.
Wow.
And when I embrace that this is the rest of my life, this is what I want to be really good at and enjoy, it became a piece of cake because there's no rush,
Right.
and we're all, just you continuing to just become better and grow and create characters and just become more seasoned in life. And so for me, once I embraced that 10-year mark, though, which, like I said, I'm at 9 years, it became so much easier. And I just you take the pressure off yourself because
Hmm.
Matthew McConaughey also talked about in his book Green Lights about just that when you have that hunger, it's not good to have that hunger, that neediness for it. So go ride motorcycles in Europe for like how many months, and all of a sudden, this over here is asking for you back. The other thing is, and I think you might be familiar because you're in Oklahoma
Yes, sir.
and you're probably connected to the Kentucky, film groups. But my friend John Wells, I've worked on a number of films with him over the past couple of years. Something he said to me that really stuck out, and he's very big, like name in like indie film or whatever, and he's been doing this for over 20 years, and he does it extremely well. Like to me, he's like whenever I see Chris Evans in a role, I told him jokingly, I'm angry that it's not you because not that I'm against Chris Evans, it's just John Wells has his place in my heart, and he's amazing. He's just as good, if not better. And he said, um, it's not Hollywood is not the same as the craft. Acting, red carpet, all that Hollywood. That's not the craft. Focus on the craft. And he said, um, be good to work with and do good work. Be good to work with and do good work, and you'll keep being called back. So,
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Well, my last question for you is,
mhm,
what is your upcoming projects that you have, and what can you tell the
mhm.
audience? And I understand, if you can't, totally understand, sign the paper and
Yeah,
all
yeah.
that. But
Hmm.
Is there anything that's out right now that you can talk about in your upcoming projects, and where can people watch it?
Sure. I'll throw out a few. So there's UnNatural is a Western that I filmed last year, and it's already out on Tubi, on Roku, on Amazon Prime, on Apple Plus. It's a supernatural Western. I played the doctor in the film. It was a ton of fun, riding horses and just like fighting supernatural monsters. So that one came out this past Halloween, and the second one was filmed this year on Natural 2. So that will be around the corner. That one should release probably Halloween next year. And then, so the other few things. So right now, there's a film called Dumpster Fire, and it's near and dear to my heart is because it's just such a powerful story.
Mhm.
It's in the festival circuits right now, and I'd be happy to obviously announce once it's available for viewership. That one's a big one. Another one's called Sunshine and in Shadow. And what's cool is last week, so my buddy Sean Gannell, he's one of my closest, nearest, and dearest friends. Him and I, filmed this together, and we submitted it to a bunch of festivals, and already have won some awards. And we just found out last week from London, from an award a festival in London, that it's been nominated Best Thriller. And what's cool is he's doing a Scottish accent, I'm doing an Irish accent. So to have someone in the UK like confirm that maybe we sound like we know what we're doing, thinking right, so like it feels good. Um, the other two that I'll mention. So all of a sudden, I ended up in wrestling films this past year, partly
Wow.
from working with the former pro wrestler Al Snow, who runs Ohio Valley Wrestling,
Hmm.
and like that poster up there is a little bit of a dead giveaway for one of the films that's coming out. Should be released. It's in editing right now.
Okay.
Can't give away too much about it, but
Totally
it's
understand.
it's a fun wrestling mockumentary, and I just get to play this just amazing over the top character, which I love doing. I love comedy, and also with Al Snow, a film called The Wrestling Movie. It's a musical for all. It's a wrestling musical, which I don't know if you ever heard of that before, but we filmed that back in September, and uh, other than that, just going to probably film UnNatural 3 this year. And just, I've had a bunch of auditions just the past couple of days.
Wow.
So just psyched.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. I can't
Yes.
wait to hear for more upcoming projects and, let the audience know more about it as well. Um, what
Thank
is
you.
your, before we sign off, what is your big motivational speech or your big quote, your motivational quote that you like to tell the audience?
Before I do that, I am going to throw out my brothers at Really Serious Films and our film Moon River on Tubi as well. I don't ever want to leave them out. We're the ones that
Oh,
did the
please
Boytalk
don't.
series. We have 4 seasons of a show that is on Tubi that we did, where I play a homeless guy all 4 seasons. It's a fun show, and they are a big reason why that I've been able to grow. We were the ones got
Hmm.
our camera together and just started filming stuff on YouTube, and then went beyond that, like you said earlier. But my big quote, um, I'm going to actually take this, two things: trust and allow, and don't ask how. And I take that from Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, which is wisdom literature in the Bible, in the Old Testament. And it's trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. And for those who aren't religious, because like I
Amen.
said, I've had
I'm sorry. That is no, no, you're okay. For me, that's very powerful. Um,
good.
and I'll let you continue. I'm sorry, but uh, that is very, very good quote. And I just want to say that real quick. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You may
And I
continue.
believe it is too. And I love Jesus. I have a relationship with God. I left the church to follow Jesus. I'm very big on growing spiritually. And for those who are maybe not on that same kind of path though, who are non-religious, trust the journey and always seek to honor something bigger than yourself. Just know that life is always working for you. Life is always working for you if you let go and surrender to it. And you might just find that there's a lot of love and support and strength that will flow into you, that is ready to embrace you in your journey. So
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. And of course, I'm gonna go back what you were saying. That's a powerful testimony. You said you got on it, you video recorded and put it on YouTube. And like what I was talking about, that's how you can
yeah.
start your journey and record and put it on YouTube. And you know, I encourage all young actors and upcoming actors and actresses out there who are watching this on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
listening on all the podcasts, Apple, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, all the young folks out there who are listening to this interview, we want to encourage you to continue. You know, this
Yes.
passion, you know, we are here for you. We understand this is a tough journey. It's tough, you know, and it all can start with getting a group of friends and recording yourself on YouTube. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where the journey starts. You're gonna have emotional, you're gonna have your upset, you're gonna have your anger, you're gonna have your emotional, you're gonna have your really happy moments. But when you go down the road in 5 years or 10 years, probably 5 years to be honest, you're gonna turn around and says, "Wow, I totally forgot we were making ourselves on YouTube," and
Yep.
that's where you're gonna be thanking yourself and all your friends and your family members to thanking them for this journey where you are,
Yes.
and that's what I love, and we are telling people stories, and
That's
all
right.
the audience, I want to let everybody know that we are telling your stories out there. We're telling true stories out there. We're also making funny stories, but we're also telling stories to impact the world and hopefully bring happiness to the world
Mm-hmm.
to let
That's
them
right.
know that, hey, we can make people laugh, we can make people cry, and that's one thing I love about the entertainment industry for sure. So,
Mm-hmm.
once again, before I we sign off, like Taylor said, you can contact him. Um, how can
Mm-hmm.
how can people find you? I said contact him, but how can people find you? I'm sorry, Taylor.
Well, you know what? The easiest way to find me is www.taylorbox.tv. That's my website, but I'm on all socials on Facebook and Instagram, mostly at Taylor underscore RUSCH underscore box. And I love to hear other stories and encourage them. So feel free to reach out to me.
Yes,
You know,
please do
so
reach out to Taylor. And like Taylor mentioned earlier, he named all the places that you can contact for the fires in Los Angeles. Um,
mhm.
Taylor, do you mind repeating those again?
Yeah, I have them right here. So, for those who are part of the SAG-AFTRA union, there is a disaster relief fund for those who have lost a home. That's specifically for people who lost homes. But if, say, your income's been impacted in the LA area because of the wildfires, members of any union local can contact the Labor Community Services LA. They can contact Entertainment Community Fund, and they can also contact Motion Picture and Television Fund. Those are specifically for anyone involved in an entertainment career, not in front of or behind the camera. I'm focusing primarily on what I know are actors' resources. There also is IATSE and other unions that have other resources for camera workers, electrical grip, all the other sides of things. Just know the resources are out there and they're very ready to be helpful. Don't think that your situation or your challenge is small. They're sort of waiving certain requirements to make sure everyone gets what they need right now. So
Yes. Thank you for sharing
yeah,
that. And
Of course.
Like I said, everyone, our thoughts and prayers to goes out to Los Angeles and the family
Mhm.
and victims out there. Send them your support and prayers, um and we pray for the people of Los Angeles for sure. And this devastating time will continue prayer. But Taylor, thank you for coming on. Much
Thank you so much
appreciated.
for having me.
And I would love to have you back on again sometime, and we'll definitely stay in
Yeah,
touch.
this is definitely refreshing, and I look forward to another one for sure. We'll stay
Well,
in
thank you,
touch. All
Taylor. I'll
right.
talk to you soon.
I'll talk to you soon. Okay. Cheers.
Bye bye.
Bye.